All right, everybody. Welcome back. I'm going to talk to y'all while I do a few setup things. Tell it no, I didn't generate any images. I did use AI just to show how easy it is. So I went to X account and used the Grok feature. And with just a few clicks, we found out how easy it was to understand the 14th Amendment and what it officially is meant for and intended for, and still intended to this day. All right. I think I got everything on YouTube details set up for y'all. Get the chat open over there for that. All right. Yeah, I don't know if the restream is going to work. So stream to two places. The chat box didn't connect in, and when I tried to open it, it wouldn't let me log in. They've got some problems over there at Restream. Anyways, let's get to it. So I went in and, like I said, through X, went to the Grok feature and just typed in simple term. And what I got back was, of course, who who helped write it, who came up with the idea, and the two few people along with them that helped argue it in front of Congress, and what it was meant to do, and not the overreaching abilities that we use it for today. Those are completely actually said they're illegal. So you can't extend them to somebody who can just comes over here, plops the baby out, and then goes back home because they don't hold allegiance to the Constitution. Therefore, they're not held allegiance to our law system, which is why ambassadors and illegal aliens, because they all fall under a different law system. An illegal alien, like looking for asylum, would fall under a different legal system to be in our government until they were granted citizenship, and then they would be held under the every American rule of under the law. So, anyways, if you want all the specific terms, that's what I have here. Also, did just a few follow up question searches to make sure that we got super clarified at why this whole 14th Amendment was added after the 13th. But the 13th Amendment was abolishment of slavery. And then once the slavery status was abolished, now we instantly move to the 14th Amendment to grant them original status, because the original status that they were granted, the slaves once freed, the Native Americans did not receive the same thing from this 14th Amendment. So the 14th Amendment did not bring Native Americans who were born on American soil, who were here before the Europeans, the great United States of America. They didn't gain citizenship because of this 14th Amendment. Therefore, if not even the Native Americans were granted citizenship because they were under their own government system, the tribal communities and councils, they didn't get the citizenship. Therefore, you don't have the right to just come over here, plop a baby out, and it gets the citizenship. Or else we would have gave it to the Native Americans back in the day, but they didn't. They had to leave and swear loyalty to the Constitution of America and not their tribe in order for them to get leadership. And when they did that, they had to give up their allotment of land, that little piece of land and some money that they get from the government to take over the whole country and put them in reservations. They had to give that all up in order to get their American citizenship. So the 14th Amendment does not go to just people living or set foot on this land. And I'm Native American, so you argue with me all you want about it. Uh, and I gave up my rights. My great grandpa, so 1G grandpa on my father's side, which was Native American off the Doll Scrolls, and my great great grandpa on my mother's side, all Cherokee, as far as I just found out, had to do the same thing. That's where my family comes from. Is they had to give up their allotment, disavow the councils, and to become an American citizen under the 14th Amendment. It wasn't just freely gave to us. We had to actively make the choice and go swear allegiance to the flag, to the United States of America, the Constitution, the amendments, the Bill of Rights, all that, and swear that we would uphold no other rights but those, and to never pass a right that would infringe on any one particular person. That's why in Texas we're here building laws that are for everybody. We don't have laws that target one person. We target the people who are trying to bypass the laws, and they end up creating this new unequal balance where one religion or one race or one whatever has some kind of specific protections under the law, and that's not how America was built. It's we make laws for everybody under one umbrella, or we don't. It's that simple. Everybody has to follow. Not only Islamophobia is illegal. Can't say it. No, if you're going to make Islamophobia, which is a fake word in general, because there's it's a bunch of concepts together. Islam. It's not like one single thing that you can just be having an irrational fear about. But anyways, so if you want to make that illegal, then you have to make all slurs, all phobias legal. So Islamophobia, uh, arachnophobia has to be illegal, agoraphobia has to be illegal, and so on and so forth. You have to make all of it illegal. So all phobias are now illegal to use. If, like in I think Virginia, they're trying to pass the law where if someone says you're Islamophobia to them or whatever, you can go to jail. Well, they have to go ahead and make the rest of the phobias illegal too. So if you say, "Oh, you're agoraphobia, afraid to go outside," then you can go to jail too with that. That's the only way to make that law American or constitutional, whether it's in the state or by federal level. So, so it's unconstitutional. You can't make a law that specifics one thing and leaves out others. It has to be an equal law. That's how America is built. Uh, So if y'all want to fight it over there, y'all's free speech laws, y'all can fight it that way. That'll help you out. And just remember that this is the 14th Amendment. Its purpose, the two or three people that helped argue it and re-argue it to clarify it in the courts. Uh, I suggest you read up on this. I mean, it's a real simple read and understanding. Like I said, I know AI is dumb to me. Normally, they can't give me an answer, but I had to first tell this Grok, I want precise answers. Don't bullshit me and don't tell me what you think is something. Just give me the facts and let me read them in order to get to this spot here where he would actually just feed me facts and not say, well, I think he meant, no, you didn't. You're not thinking AI. You're putting bullshit together. I want you to just give me what he said and we'll understand what he said because he says it so friggin' clear. All the privilege and immunities of citizens of the several states. Yeah, see, each state has a constitution which protects your rights, and then the federal constitution is those rights distilled down into a it's supposed to be a less restrictive area, but keep the basis of all the rights that we all agree on. And so the state level should be the more stricter level than the federal government level. The federal government should be the base level. Like when it says you have the right to bear in arms at all times, the federal level is absolute. Nobody can instill any kind of waiting period, money, extra money, requirement to file for it, put your name in a database and get checked out before getting, all that's unconstitutional. Now the state level can add some of those steps, so to speak, even though some states like Texas are actually more free. In Texas, it says that it doesn't matter who you are, they can't take your guns away from you. Period. Period. It's even clearer than the federal constitution. Uh, and so your state is what you're actually residing in, is what it overrules everything unless it steps to replace or circumvent a federal baseline of Constitution amendments and Bill of Rights and stuff. Then the federal judge steps in to correct the states. So, like uh, Missouri, what is it? No, Minneapolis, New York, California, all those places are actually trying to do that. And the new thing in Virginia, with them trying to ban the word Islamophobia, or make it a penalty to go to jail or whatever they're trying to do over there, that's unconstitutional. And the federal government has the right to step in and remove those people, or stop that from happening, because they're literally overstepping the baseline, the lowest level of freedoms that the federal government's constitution says we have. So, okay, did he ever argue the reasons of not intended for aliens, ambassadors, and such? Oh, did he ever argue the reasons of not intended for alien and such? If so, get those for us. And here's the last part. Help clarify some simple stuff. Like I said, the judges and Mr. Thomas even knew this, but he didn't make this specific. Why, I don't know. Because nothing they argued on or even agreed on goes back to the basis of what this was actually supposed to do. October the 14th was designated the constitutional law to protect, while he did not deliver a lengthy standalone speech solely on ambassadors during the final 14th Amendment floor debates. I told you not to ad lib in there. I didn't ask specific of that. I asked for aliens, ambassadors, and such. In other words, a list of people. AI is so dumb. Ad libbing in there. Citizenship clause was added and refined probably by Senator Jacob Howard and Lyman Thumble. His statements provided key supporting reasons that aligned with the amendment's text and the broader congressional understanding. During the March 9th, 86 debate of Civil Rights Act, Congress of Birmingham explained the provision. I find no fault with the introductory clause, which is simply declaratory of what is written in the Constitution, that every human being born within the jurisdiction of the United States, of parents not owing allegiance to any foreign sovereignty, is, in the language of the Constitution itself, a natural born citizen. Right, the parents cannot be aligned with anyone else. They have to be aligned with America or nobody for them to get their citizenship. Then the kids born can get theirs. So if they're born to aliens under a different legal system, like let's say asylum to come into America, they cannot get their citizenship automatically. Even if they have a baby, the baby doesn't get it automatically. That's plain English there, and you can find even more plainer than that. But me, dumb at being a lawyer, okay, I can even understand this stuff. Subject to the jurisdiction thereof, all persons born or nationalized and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens. Jurisdiction, right. Core principles: mere physical birth on U.S. soil is not enough. That's a core principle. The person must be fully subject to the U.S. political jurisdiction and allegiance at birth. This requires that the parents or the individual not owed allegiance to any other foreign sovereignty. So they have to be sworn in for America. Why ambassadors, diplomats, and their families are excluded? Because of the same reason that aliens are excluded. Because their families owe primary allegiance to their home country where their parents are from. They're too young to make allegiance to America, so they can't be automatic citizens. the same as, like I said, ambassadors, diplomats, aliens under different. They're not under the jurisdiction of the regular person who is a citizen. They're not under that jurisdiction. Anyways, broader application of alien foreign becomes language of parents not owing allegiance to any foreign sovereignty and domicile within the United States, supports excluding children of temporary visitors, non-resident aliens, or those with ongoing foreign allegiance, such as certain temporary or illegal entrants without permanent domicile, fully subject to U.S. authority, or those with ongoing foreign allegiance. So all of these people, this is why they're attacking this law, okay? Because this law actually says that we can take Badami out, Ilhan Omar out, and the new Muslim pedo takeover members, Dawas, Crosswas, and Swish Washimish Muhammad with dick in his mouth. Those three people that he endorses and is now taking over, plus all the people in our school boards that's actually rotting your kids' brain, which is why the kids are in a predicament right now, because they're on the school boards indoctrinating our kids to hate this type of stuff. And that's why they chose to vote against Donald Trump, because Donald Trump's a good figure for them to use to make him look like he's dumb and doesn't know what this law actually says. But like I'm showing you here, it says what it says, and they hate that. They hate the fact that we already have a fucking law in America that can just wipe these people out in an instant if they let Trump do his powers. His natural given powers of the presidency allows him to enact this 14th Amendment the right way. And he was trying to clear it up at the beginning with a, what do you call it? And they said no to that. And what they were really saying is no to what it really means. Because if we go by what the 14th Amendment means, our country can be saved from the illegal birth lottery or whatever the hell you want to call this scam, where they come over, drop a baby, and then go back home and raise the kid the next 40 years in China or some shit. And then all of a sudden you can come back and be an American citizen. No, the 14th Amendment stopped that back in the day, back in 1866. That stopped that. So that's why they want to rule on this as something that doesn't even, like I said, they didn't even want to look at it. Nobody wanted to cite it. So I'm even against Clarence Thomas, if that's his name, when he chose to vote with them, but yet dissent in a letter, because the letter itself is bullshit. All right, this is where the video that made me go look all this up and do this video.
Birthright citizenship, according to the majority here, is absolute, right? Based off the way that they have read the 14th Amendment, okay, the citizenship clause, and interpret it, it is absolute. Nothing can be done about it by Congress except a constitutional amendment, which is not going to happen. But at least President Trump tried, right? He tried, right? He actually took on birthright citizenship, and he tried. And ultimately today, you know, we didn't get what we wanted, but he tried. And I'm just saying, this is extremely disappointing. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is at this point. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
Muslim pedo takeover members, Dawas, Crosswas, and Swish Washimish Muhammad with dick in his mouth. Those three people that he endorses and is now taking over, plus all the that doesn't.
According to the majority here, is absolute, right? Based off the way that they have read the 14th Amendment, okay, the citizenship clause, and interpret it.
All right, guys, I'm sorry. I didn't know the mic was paused. Go ahead and hit that Black conservative perspective. Hit the all, subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll get back on the final thoughts of Supreme Court blocks the original founding fathers' understanding and reason why they built that 14th Amendment. uh, to end birthright citizenship. They didn't block Trump. Trump had nothing to do with it. They were blocking the original 14th Amendment. And like I was showing you with the Grok, exactly, if they don't block that and change it, then they're liable for to be under the 14th Amendment because they all voted on it. Yes, all the ones that voted yes, including the ones that later put a dissenting paper behind it, still voted yes. Actually, voting on the 14th Amendment in that way to change it is not the judicial's job. Only the House, Senate, the legislative branches can do that, can change a law. The judicial can't. So the judicial system fucked up, okay, and did a legislative decision to change the law, and them doing that made it to where the 14th Amendment itself now applies to them, since they unconstitutionally changed the law without being in the confines of how it's supposed to be done, ran through legislation. Judicial just judges on whether or not you messed up that law. Executive enforces whether or not that law counts and what the punishment's going to be. They're the ones that enforce it. Judicial just decides after the fact of whether or not that penalty goes on you for that law that you're being brought before court. So anyway, so them changing the law and voting on it meaning something different means they're all held to the 14th Amendment. They can all have their birthright citizenship taken from them, and they have to leave. People and also doing the same thing, not guaranteeing allegiance, is like Ilhan Omar, Madami, Gavin Newsom. Yes, I put them in with the same people. And the new three people that he got voted in that are coming to Congress from New York. That's actually illegal. The 14th Amendment literally stops all them people and allows the executive branch, Trump down all the way to cops and stuff. Okay, the executive branch, all the way down to your mailman. That's all executive branch. Allows them to go enforce what's already there, the 14th Amendment, and how it's already been read for all these years. They don't have to listen to this judicial system. Matter of fact, they're incumbent on them to actually go arrest these judicial people and take their citizenship away and make them lose their position as a judge because they did wrong 2 times in a row. Both they created a new law and how it was going to be newly interpreted, and it was to literally cover up for themselves because they fall under that law once they did it. And they're hiding the real fact of what the law means because they want aliens to come over, which is unconstitutional, and therefore they have the right to. Executive branch has the right to go in and remove these people. So Trump, you listening? You have full powers of the executive branch to go enforce the law that the legislative branch wrote in 1866 and has been interpreted by the judicial branch all the way up until today. So they finally consented to step away from the original meaning and change it into something else, which is only legislative power, not judicial power. And they're stating that they did it on purpose to make sure everybody who doesn't belong here breaks the law semi legally because the judicial system said so. The legislative didn't change the law, but the judicial system says they're going to ignore legislative. That's not how this 3 branch system checks and balance works. Executive branch needs to go in and enforce that so that the legislative branch, which is your Senate, House, and your congressmen, okay, those are the people legislating. Okay, the people on your city councils, uh, uh, your mayor office, those are legislative people. Well, your mayor's executive, but your city councils, your school councils, all those are legislative. They're the ones that get to pick the rules of what goes inside schools or whatever. The judicial is just supposed to rule on whether or not someone broke those rules, not change the legislative intent behind it. So that gives the executive power, who enforces all that, which is the strong arm of not only the judicial system but the legislative. That is the acting powers. Has to go in and stop this. And for them to say no, Trump, you can't come in and stop it because we ruled against it, is pussy shit. It's whiny Snowflake'n shit. They don't have that right. Trump has a mandatory right, and mandatory by us, we the people who believe in the Constitution and upholding it, and there being punishment for you going against it, should go in and take them people out legally because the 14th Amendment allows him. So executive branch, get on your guns and go do what you got to do. Anyways, I'm gonna end this. I'm rambling on now. Remember to like, comment, subscribe on mine and his. Great guy, does a lot of good work, and sorry for the silence in the middle. I'll catch y'all on the next one.